What's up, Panthers Nation? We're back today with another video. Keep pounding. Today versus the New Orleans Saints in the Dome in New Orleans. This is going to be an interesting one because the Saints are going to be subbing some people out. Christian McCaffrey is going to be playing. Shaq Thompson and DJ Moore are going to be out. That's what I've heard so far. I haven't seen any status changes yet. So, ESPN was rolling them out. So, here's the thing. This could be Greg Olsen's last game with us. So, I am wearing a Greg Olsen jersey, as you can see. And I got to support my dog. You know? I got to support my homie. Greg Olsen, you have put in some valuable years for us in this franchise, and I was absolutely thrilled when we traded for him. Absolutely thrilled. Like, that was probably the best trade I've ever seen us make in Panthers history, was for him. And I'll never forget that day. I know most of you won't either. Because, you know, he has just been a workhorse in Carolina. So, he's got one more game left, possibly. He hasn't said he's retiring yet, but he's been hinting at it during off-season before the season started, so we'll see how that goes. Now that we are at this point, we're starting to look at 7th or 8th draft pick coming up in April. April 23rd, I believe it is the draft. So we got a few months to prepare, scout properly, and do what we need to do. But, we'll see how that goes. My Clemson team is going for another national title. So, again, I highly suggest going after Clemson players. And I'm going to make a separate video on which players I think we should go after and which ones I don't think we should jump on, you know, when our pick comes around. But since we basically need pretty much everything, I'd say put all if not most of the Clemson players on the board as options. I've got a few Alabama players on there as well, Ohio State, Oklahoma, LSU players as well. You know, if we get lucky enough to get any LSU players, then I highly support it because this franchise has been really good with LSU players so far that I've noticed. We've gotten a lot of success out of them, as well as Georgia players too. The few that we picked up, anyway. See, here's the thing. I'm going to say this as plainly as I can. If Marty does not draft a left tackle in the first 3 rounds, fire him after the draft. I'm dead serious. If he does not pick up a left tackle when that should be our first priority in the first 3 rounds, fire him after the draft. I'm saying it twice because of the impact of it. And I can guarantee you there's another GM out there that will not hesitate to pull the trigger on that and get us a line. Particularly if we want to hire Mike McCarthy, who we just did a second interview with. And if he's committed to the West Coast, then the Turners are probably going to stay. I don't like that. I'm going to say that openly right now. I don't like that. Scott Turner is getting to be just like his dear old dad with the play calling, and we're not really getting anywhere. I mean, what? We had a couple of games where we just did absolutely nothing for a good chunk of it. Didn't even move the sticks. I mean, it was a whole lot of nothing. So, not impressed with the Turners right now. They need to go. I still support my original suggestion about Cam being traded. I think it's the wisest move, business-wise and franchise-wise, for us long-term. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that in the comment section, and I do not care. Throw it at me. I'm ignoring all the fans that throw up all those billboards. I don't care. Like, half the fan base wants him here, the other half wants him gone. But I want him gone for different reasons than they do. Because, let's face facts, in the 2 games that he did not have an ankle injury, he was making some terrible decisions. The same terrible decisions that Kyle made, the same terrible decisions that Greer made, under pressure because we did not fix the line. Now, let it be known, everybody knew that Cam Newton was not good under pressure after 2016. Everybody knew it, and they blitzed the heck out of our line. Further damaging the line, further damaging our success, and further damaging our commitment to the pass. And the further along this rabbit hole goes, the weaker our talent gets. We have to start changing things now, this year, in this offseason. Otherwise, it's just going to keep getting worse. And we're going to end up eventually like the Cincinnati Bengals or the Detroit Lions, who had those one-win seasons, 1 year. That's not who we want to be at the end of this train track ride. Not at all. So we need to fix this now. So, I kind of wanted to go over the NFL standings right now and just state a few thoughts on those, versus my predictions of what I thought would happen. You got New England winning the division, of course, but I didn't expect it to be that close. Buffalo, 10 wins, man. Congrats to Buffalo. I didn't expect them to get that high. But I knew that they had a soft schedule, but that was really nice for them. So then you go down. Houston's won the division again. They're doing really well under Watson. And they've got that Clemson duo of Watson and Nuke in Houston, as well as their strong defense. So, that's tough to beat, man. Tough to beat on offense. And that's why they have 10 wins. Indy with 7 wins doesn't really surprise me. The backup's playing like a backup. Tennessee put on a strong showing, but that wasn't enough. Jacksonville with 5 wins, of course, back at the bottom. We're going to be competing with Jacksonville for draft picks. Let's see. Baltimore looks terrifying. They fixed their problems early on in the season where they're not losing those games early on, and they're a strong contender for the playoff push. They've got the division easily, I might add. Lamar Jackson was the final piece, And I think they're the only ones that can really contend with New England for a shot at the Super Bowl for the AFC. I just don't see any of the leaders doing it in the AFC. You got Pittsburgh at 8-7. Nah. KC maybe, but I don't think they've gotten enough in the tank to battle either Baltimore or New England. And Houston's got some problems on defense. Oakland surprisingly went 7-8. I expected more out of them. You know, I thought Oakland for sure would be at the power table for wild card, but apparently not. So then you go into the NFC side, and I always knew that was going to be a toss-up in the East. You got Philly at 8-7, Dallas at 7-8. Those two are typically battling each other. The Giants are average to below average, and this year they're 4-11. You know, not impressive. Way below average. We'll be battling them for a draft pick, which is a problem because it's Gettleman we're drafting against. Remember that, folks. Remember that in April. We're drafting against Gettleman. That's going to be a huge problem. He's likely to steal at least 2 players off our board. At least. So, I don't like that. Then you got Washington, who is absolutely dumpster. Absolutely dumpster. As always. 3-12. Not impressive. We already know about our division, really. Saints are running away with it again. We allowed Tampa Bay to get second place due to beating us at home and that hot streak they went on. We even allowed Atlanta to get ahead of us at 6-9. Where did we go wrong this year? So many ways. But let's continue. You got Green Bay, who's typically a playoff team. They won't last, though. They're a quick burn in the playoffs. Quick burnout. So then you got Minnesota wild card, 10 wins. What did I say? What did I say the magic wild card number was? 10. I told you. It's been 10 consistently for the past 5 years. To even be in the conversation and to fight for a wild card spot. So, that being said, Minnesota's got it. They've got the second one. Chicago is average, as you might expect. Detroit's terrible, as you might expect. Nothing new there. Now in the West, things got shaken up pretty quickly here with San Francisco. 12-3. Whoa. What? So, they just come out of nowhere with a full deck of cards and a very, very strong team. I did not expect that. I gotta be honest, I did not expect it to happen this soon. I expected maybe next year with some loaded depth, and if they might be playing for a Super Bowl berth, you know? But not this year. I thought maybe, 10-win season, maybe at most. I didn't expect that. Seattle, of course, gets the other wild card spot, 11-4. Not a surprise there. Once they finally got their pieces together and got fixed, it wasn't a surprise. Rams at 8-7. That was that was expected. They dropped off. You know, they had a good year last year and they dropped off. Arizona 5-9. Now, as I recall, Arizona did fire their coach Wilkes, that used to be our defensive coordinator. So, that bearing that in mind, I don't think we'll be dealing with Arizona as a potential problem drafting wise. And the Bills, who are the third issue drafting wise, are way up there with 10 wins. So, we're only doing with Gettleman. That's good and bad at the same time, because Gettleman is a mastermind at screwing up everybody's drafts. I mean, look what he did last year. He got Daniel Jones in the first round. That screwed up the entire 9 yards of drafting right there. Nobody expected that at all. He threw everybody for a loop. And he does it at least once a draft. So, be looking for it, and be looking for him to steal one again. But knowing Gettleman as well as I do, he drafts for needs, and he also drafts for best player available. So that alone is a problem for us. Best player available, because we need the best player available to fill our lines, to fill our wide receiver core, to fill our defensive end spots, to fill our linebacker core. You know, I could go on and on down the list. So, if we don't get who we need off that board in April, this team is still going to tank in 2020 anyway. We've got to take advantage right now. These 2 years are the 2 years that we can rebuild and get depth if we build it correctly. So I agree with Tepper for going ahead and taking care of interviews now. You know, you want that head coach in place before the draft. You know, at least 2 months before scouting finishes up and we start looking at draft picks and reordering the draft. But Marty's got a process. But it's going to completely change depending on what coach we bring in. We'll see how that goes. I know that the Northwestern coach declined our interview. So, interesting there. But not interesting at the same time, because you know that man's not going to leave Illinois. You know he's not. He's got a home there. So I didn't expect him to accept that interview. But, you know, we're getting into those critical phases where we've got to get things settled and fixed before the offseason really kicks in. And I'll be doing some videos in the offseason. Don't worry. You'll probably see one, possibly 2 a week up until things start going down with free agent signings and cuts and stuff like that. Re-signings, definitely you'll see some videos. So expect that. You'll definitely you should definitely be looking for a video before the draft of what players I see us getting position wise versus what's out there. You know, what possibilities might we have? Because that it's going to be a 3-ring circus as far as people doing the draft machine and everything else. So I'm going to throw up a bunch of projections in separate videos for you guys. Um, and like I said, the Clemson video is coming as well. Uh, the 2020 schedule video is coming as well. Expect that sometime here in the next week. I know I apologize, I'm a bit late with that video. With it being the holidays and everything. So, I apologize about that, but that'll happen. Getting back to the Saints. The Saints will not be playing some of their starters, which means it'll be a little bit easier to get an advantage on them, but judging by the way this team's going, we're going to get blown out by even just the backups. I just have that feeling today. Like, we already know what Bridgewater can do. We already know what all their backups can really do, realistically. So it's going to be a slaughter, pretty much. So I'm thinking we finish up 5-win season, which is perfect for us because depending on what other teams do, we could either be 7th or 8th. So we'll see how this goes. Cross your fingers and hope that we get that 7th spot, because that'll really, really help us offensive line wise when we start to draft. And best player available as well. Alright guys, so that's all I've got for this video, and don't forget to like, sub, and hit that bell so you don't miss any new content on this channel. Welcome all new likes and subs, and I want to welcome all of you to the family. Thank you guys for coming and checking out my channel. I appreciate all of you. You're all my brothers and sisters and other. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming and checking out my channel and making it as successful as you have. I couldn't have done it without you. Alright, so until halftime, keep pounding.